we started off, made the mistake of starting off with PowerPoint, and which immediately made them even grumpier because everything works in PowerPoint, and they've seen way too many PowerPoint slides, and they were like literally getting ready to they were going to just walk out from the PowerPoint presentation. I said, well, would you like to drive the car? They're like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, we have an electric smart car. Do you want to drive it? Like you don't have an electric smart car. That's impossible. Like, yeah, it's just in the parking lot. You can go drive it. Actually, it was not only was a smart car, it was fucking sick. Like, this thing had a roadster powertrain in a smart car. The power to weight ratio of this thing was bananas. It was like you could pull wheelies in a smart car. Literally, if you stepped,
fly?
Yeah, you could lift the front wheels off the deck.
Motorcycle torque on a four-wheel vehicle.
Yeah, motorcycle torque on a four-wheel vehicle. It was insane. You could burn rubber in a smart car. It looked bizarre. Like you just never seen a thing move like that.
Then I might actually drive a smart car if it was like
that.
that.
It was awesome. Anyway, so we kind of just blew their minds. Like they're like, "What? How is this? This is like, what impossible black magic have you figured out to have like an electric smart car?" And it's like, well, we got one from Mexico 3 months ago, and we put a roadster powertrain in it and a modified battery pack, and you can still use the car. Like the interior of the car was still fully usable, so we didn't like intrude on the interior space. And we're like, yeah, we can. And they're like, okay, well, this is pretty impressive. They've never seen anything like this before. So then they're like, okay, well, they'll consider that they will do some smart car limited production. Like part of this is because they had to make the regulators happy. So this was not like, they needed like some, sustainable energy cars to make the regulators happy. That was the reason for this electric smart car.
The fleet miles.
It was not a grand vision by Daimler to go electric.
No.
It was to get these annoying regulators off our back. So
for the credits, right?
Yeah, there was like
compliance.
It's compliance vehicles. So it's like there was like a minimum number of electric vehicles that had to be made. They could also make fuel cell vehicles, but those were way more expensive.
Yeah.
So from their standpoint, it was at the time. It was really more like, what's the least amount of money we can spend and get the regulators off the regulator monkey off our back? So we ended up making a bunch of electric smart cars for Daimler, and then over time we actually extended that into an electric A/B class, but they were always just really compliance vehicles. They did not want to make. Daimler was not willing to place at that time a big bet on electric vehicles. And so the volume and the price were always like, the volume's too low, the price is too high. These are going to be niche vehicles no matter what. But anyway, so what it did lead to, which was really essential, was Tesla getting saved by Daimler investing $50 million. So the $40 million invested in December of 2008 just gave us 6 months of runway. So that basically gave us until June of 2009. And again, during this period, General Motors is bankrupt, Chrysler is bankrupt. So not a lot of people are interested in investing in a startup car company, let alone an electric car company.
Yeah.
And remember, this is back when electric was synonymous with dumb. You could just say, instead of using the word electric car company, you could just substitute dumb. Do you want to invest in a dumb car company? That's what it sounded like to most people. So at the time, I think Daimler vaguely thought that the Volkswagen Group might invest in Tesla, and they didn't want that. So they were essentially to block VW from investing in Tesla, which, by the way, VW was not going to invest in Tesla. I talked to their person, and they expressed some initial interest, but then they went dark on me. So. Actually, the only investor that was interested in Tesla at all was Daimler, and that was because of the electric smart program.
Wow!
So they invested $50 million into Tesla at roughly a $500 million valuation. So it worked out.
Yeah,
10% or something like that.
Yeah, they got 10% of the company. Yeah. I mean, we're really in the weeds here. So hopefully this is interesting to some people. But this was definitely some deep lore war story stuff. So then in 2009, we're also just figuring out how to actually get the Roadster into volume production.
Yeah.
So we were not able to reach volume production, even by Roadster standards, in 2008. And we still had a bunch of things in the car that were broke. I think we managed to deliver like maybe 20 or 25 cars in 2008, most of which were in December. And then we had to bring all of those cars back to have their drivetrains replaced. And I think most of them got their battery pack replaced too. So, I mean, it was just a fumbling mess, basically. It was insane. But in 2009 is when we actually figured out how to make the car half decent Roadster 1, where you could give it to someone and it wouldn't just like break down immediately. And like roughly summer of 2009 is when the car wasn't a complete piece of trash. That just didn't work. And then we did a Roadster 1.5, and then Franz joined, and Franz helped redesign the Roadster and make it better with the Roadster 2. Then by like basically late 2009, early 2010 is where the Roadster was like a decent as a toy.
Yeah.
Not as like a transport you could count on, but as a toy, it was decent. Became decent around end of 2009, early 2010. Anyway, so that Daimler investment in May 2009 was what was essential to Tesla's survival, not a government loans. So this is another thing that is a misunderstanding here, because they got confused because GM and Chrysler and Ford, GM got a massive bailout, just like a flat-out friggin' donation from taxpayers, like of tens of billions of dollars. So GM got like $30 billion handout, basically, with no repayment.
Last I checked, there's over 14 billion that's unpaid.
Okay, so maybe
It's a real amount though.
Okay, it's 14 that has not been repaid and never will be, I suspect. So, and then Chrysler got a bunch of money, and then Ford got like a $5 billion loan. But Ford is in better financial shape because I don't know, for whatever reason. I think the Ford family has more long-term thinking than the people that were running GM and Chrysler. So they were in a better financial position. But it remains the case today that the only American car companies that have not gone bankrupt are Tesla and Ford. And unless something changes significantly with Rivian and Lucid, they will both go bankrupt. They're tracking to bankruptcy. They may not say like that is currently like if this were an airplane, they're going like that. So if something happens to go change, okay. But currently, they're at intersection with doom.
Yeah.
So I hope they're able to do something, but unless they cut their costs dramatically, they're in deep trouble. And we'll end up in the cemetery like every other car company, with the exception of Tesla and Ford. Anyway, that Daimler investment was essential to Tesla's survival. Around that time, in mid-2009, we got a letter, sort of a letter of interest, like a non-binding letter of interest from the DOE for a loan that I believe was around $500 million. Now, that was not a loan where they just give you $500 million. That was one where you spend the money, you provide invoices. Those invoices are provided to DOE. They then refund you based on the audited expenses that you paid. It's not like lump sum type of thing. It's retroactive after you spend it.
It's a reimbursement program.
It's a loan reimbursement.
Yeah.
So there's nothing's given for free. It's a loan reimbursement. So it would not be possible to use that as advance capital to make something happen. It can only be used to reimburse expenses that have already taken place with a 2 to 3 month lag. And the first disbursement, that letter of interest did not become an actual binding document until 2010. And then and the first money that Tesla received as a reimbursement from that, I think, was March or April of 2010, by which time the recession had passed. So if we had needed the money from that loan, Tesla would have gone bankrupt.
Yeah.
So the DOE loan, I think, was helpful as an accelerant, but it was not a life or death thing for Tesla. And ultimately, the constraints, the problem is that the DOE was second guessing our business plan and our execution. So we're like, well, we need to change the business plan because if we keep going in that direction, we're going to die. So we're going to go in that direction and in the non-death direction. And then you're explaining to someone at the DOE why you're changing the plan, and then they're like, but the plan is different. You need to stay to the plan. Like, well, if we stay to the plan, we're going to crash, and the company will die, and that's why we want to change the plan.
But that's the plan.
But that's the plan. And I'm like, okay, this is not good. And like, you know, with enough effort, we could actually get the DOE to agree to change the plan, but this was taking up a lot of bandwidth to be constantly convincing people at DOE that the new plan is better than the old plan. So after the IPO in 2010, we paid back the DOE loan.
That's awesome.
And we actually had to pay a penalty, there was an early repayment penalty. So we paid back the loan with interest plus a prepayment penalty. Like, taxpayers made money on the loan. Very important.
Yeah.
Taxpayers made money on the Tesla DOE loan. Whereas they're still $14 down on $14 billion down on GM. So another thing worth pointing out is none of the incentives, the EV incentives that exist, not one of them was obtained by Tesla. Not one of them. The $7,500 tax credit was General Motors. They're the one who got that. Like, Tesla had no lobbying power in DC at all. But GM had huge lobbying powers. They're the ones that got the $7,500 tax credit put in place. And Nissan. But we had basically no presence in DC. So, because you'll certainly hear like, oh, Tesla and tax credits. I'm like, okay, well, currently we don't have the $7,500 tax credit does not apply to Tesla, but it does apply to our competitors. So anyone who has not made any company that's cumulative production below 200,000 cars has a $7,500 tax credit, and Tesla does not, because we've long ago exceeded the 200,000 car maximum. So Tesla is at a competitive disadvantage with respect to tax credits. That is quite significant when you're talking about, like, say, a $40,000 car and a $7,500 tax credit. That's like almost a 20% difference. So a big deal. So Tesla is successful currently in spite of our competitors having materially greater tax advantages than Tesla. In spite of it, not because of it. If you eliminated all EV incentives tomorrow, Tesla's competitive position would improve significantly. I'll say that again. If you eliminated all tax credits, EV tax credits, Tesla's position would improve immediately.
And Tesla did the purpose what the tax credits were for, right? To drive that innovation ramp. You guys just actually did it so fast that the competitors are still using it.
Yeah.
Well, when we started Tesla, gas was under $2 a gallon in California, and there were no tax credits. So it was not from the standpoint of like, hey, this is a great opportunity. I mean, when we started Tesla, I should be clear, like, it was with an expectation of success of less than 10%. And the same for SpaceX.
Yeah.
And who in their right mind would think that a car company would have anything more than a 10% probability of success if you've never built a car in your entire life before? There have been
guys.
Yeah, there's only at the time you had GM, Ford, and Chrysler, but the history of car companies is like there've been like over 1,000 car company startups in the United States, and they're all dead. So with the 2008-2009 recession, GM and Chrysler also went bankrupt. So then their chances of survival are extremely tiny. only a fool would start a car company with electric car company or a car company whatsoever and think that the probability of success was high. So my initial thought for both Tesla and SpaceX was that I'd take half the money from PayPal, and I'd waste half of it on two ludicrous ventures, one being a car company and a rocket company, and that would be dumb, and I'd just lose it all, and that'd be, but I'd still have $90 million left, so whatever, but in the end, I like I said, the companies were like children to me. So it was so I gave the companies all the money that I had, and then I would have had no money at all if Tesla and SpaceX had not survived. I would have owed a lot of money and been personally bankrupt if Tesla and SpaceX had not survived.
That hadn't happened, we still wouldn't have electric vehicles.
Yeah, I think so.
Very
Tesla's. I mean, if you say what is Tesla's fundamental value, it is to serve as an accelerant to sustainable energy. And if you say but for Tesla, what would the world be like? In ways that, let's say you're looking at this from, the macroeconomic God standpoint, or like a civilization, or The Sims or something. What's the difference here? The difference between Tesla and not Tesla is how many years is sustainable energy accelerated.
Mm.
That is the fundamental good of Tesla.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there's also the autonomy thing, which is I think could also be very, very significant. It will be very significant. But I'd say in the absence of there being a fundamental technology discontinuity in the form of electrification and autonomy, both of them together, I think a new car company cannot succeed. So now I'll tell you, actually, the real reason that people should have been shorting Tesla, and perhaps why some of them were shorting Tesla, and the real reason that new car companies cannot succeed, or why it's very hard for them to succeed. And this was first told to me by this automotive investor when I was at Axel Springer headquarters getting a Golden Steering Wheel award, and this guy was apparently the best automotive investor in the world, comes up to me and he's like, "Ha, I know why you're going to fail." I'm like, "Well, please tell me." I can think of several reasons.
Tell me when I don't know.
Yes, and he said he said that the car companies don't make any money on the new car sales. They make all of their money selling parts to cars to the existing fleet. Mm-hmm. So when the warranty runs out, the life of a car before it hits the junkyard might be 20 years. Warranty is going to typically run out after 4 years, and there's a bunch of stuff that's not covered under warranty. So if you've got a steady state fleet, it means that 80% of your fleet is not under warranty. Mm. So you can sell high margin parts, replacement parts for the existing fleet, mm-hmm. and you can sell your new cars at effectively zero margin. Mm. It's like a razors and blades thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you sell the razor for zero margin,
yep.
and you sell the blades at high margin. Mm. So then this creates a massive barrier to entry for any new car company because you have no existing fleet. So the only way for a new car company to succeed is that does not have an existing fleet is to charge a lot more for your car than what others are paying, than competitors. And in order to charge a lot more and have people actually buy it, the product must be so compelling that people are willing to pay the premium above the alternative cars from the incumbent car makers. This is the only way. And I think without both electrification and autonomy, this does not succeed. So that is the only way to do it. You have to win on autonomy, and you have to win on electrification, and you have to make the product so compelling that it is worth paying the premium relative to the incumbent competitors. This is a very big deal.
Yeah.
Very, very big deal. So, yeah. I'm exactly that customer, by the way. I first test drove a Tesla in 2015. The acceleration and all that was cool. The electric was cool. But when I tapped the stick for autopilot 1.0 and it locked on the road like rails, I went, holy shit, the future's here. And went from a $4,000 car to, at the time, a fully loaded Model S, opposite end of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. That exact angle was it. And that's gotten so many people that way.
Yeah.
No autopilot, I probably still wouldn't be a Tesla owner.
Yeah. Exactly. And the thing that actually got me, because we've got to get a lot of flack for autopilot deaths and stuff. Yeah. But let me tell you that Yeah, it's like no amount of statistics can convince people otherwise. They're like, you know,
Put on time.
yeah. But the thing that actually got me to really get a move on with autopilot was that this anecdote illustrates several things, by the way. So, and I think this might have been like 2014 or something like that. A Model S owner in the Bay Area fell asleep while driving his Model S and ran over a cyclist and killed the cyclist. Now, if there had been even basic lane following, that cyclist would still be alive. So I was like, man, if anything illustrates the importance of autopilot, it's this case here where that innocent cyclist would still be alive if that guy that fell asleep had autopilot or any kind of like lane following, even basic lane following. The car would not have veered off the road and killed the cyclist. Mm-hmm. So I was like, we got to get a move on here. This is a real safety issue. So that's part of what really, encouraged me to like, we need to go make this happen as quickly as possible. But there's more to the story. The guy that ran over the cyclist did not internalize responsibility for himself. He said the problem was he blamed it on Tesla, and said he fell asleep because of the new car smell. Awesome. I'm not making this up. You can literally search the court records, and he got a lawyer. Okay, amazingly, got a lawyer to represent him and file a lawsuit against Tesla, saying it's not his fault he ran over the cyclist. It's because of the new car smell that put him to sleep. Now, obviously, when this got before the judge is like, that's ridiculous, case dismissed. But this just gives you some sense of both the importance of autopilot and generally people's unwillingness to internalize responsibility.
Car smells.
Yes.
You should pay extra for that.
Yeah.
Don't they?
Yeah, I mean, he actually had the nerve
Price
to
up.
engage a lawyer and file a lawsuit. And you're like, wow, it's in the court records. Yeah. You're like, okay, dude, maybe it's not. Maybe it's you. The judge like, it's you. Okay. Take responsibility for your actions. So, anyway, so that's why I think like unless some new car company is able to solve autonomy and electrification and make a product that's extremely compelling and reach volume production where with a cost of goods where the cost of the car is low enough that you can charge a price where you don't exceed the affordability limit of people. Like a number of times I've had this conversation with like rich investors on Wall Street. Is crazy because there are two factors at play. One is value for money. The other is fundamental affordability. So these things are often conflated by if somebody has tens of millions of dollars, lives in Wall Street and whatever, they don't understand that they just think about value for money. They don't think about affordability. Like all cars are affordable. If someone just literally does not have enough money in the bank account, they cannot buy the car, even if you rail desirability to infinite. Like we'll just turn the desirability knob. This thing, will transform into a jet and fly you to a private island that it will create by itself. You can make it so desirable that you can just make desirability infinite. But if it costs more than people can afford, they can't buy it no matter how great it is. And so that affordability threshold is very, very important. So it must both be good value for money and be affordable in order to achieve the unit volumes. And where car companies can get kind of painted into the corner of doom is if the cost of the car is so high that they have to raise the price of the car to the point where the price of the car is, and Rivian I think has this problem, so that they either need to fix it or they're in deep trouble. They raise the price to the point where only a very small number of people can afford the car, no matter how desirable it is. Then at that point, if you cannot achieve a unit volume that covers your fixed costs, you're screwed. Mm-hmm. So Rivian needs. My advice to Rivian would be to cut costs immediately across the board dramatically, or they're doomed. Yeah. So this applies to any car company. Really. Yeah. As you raise the price, you're sort of the percentage of people who can afford the car starts to drop exponentially. Like start getting a car above $100,000. Very, very few people can afford it, no matter how desirable it is. And then you've got to have enough unit volume to pay for your fixed overheads. So you basically you've got to cover your operating expenses. Just checking, see if
we can do a time check too if we need to.
No, I'm just a friend of mine is like suggesting that I troll hard drive by posting more memes from them. They're just going to keep stealing their memes and posting them without giving them any credit.
People love that.
This is the internet. The memes belong to the internet.
Yeah, exactly. It's the whole point of a meme.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the transmitter of pure information.
And typically you'll like the meme too that you'll post, and so people know where it's coming from.
Memes belong to the people.
Yeah.
You create your own memes, though, don't you?
I saw it create some memes.
So your meme game is strong.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Who controls the memes? Controls.
My friend is saying I should post hard drive memes and declare that I made it myself.
I made it myself.
and then tell hard drive to stop copying me.
Wow. Well, maybe one day autopilot AI will figure out how to copy you.
Yeah.
That might be scary.
I'd be so vexed. So yeah.
You good on time too?
Yeah. I'm okay. I was just getting little text buzzes, so. But nothing is like the house, something's on fire. Which, by the way, sometimes I do get the text.
The house is on fire.
The house is on fire. The car is on fire. The dumpster's on fire.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, we've had a lot of dumpster fires at Tesla, actually.
I've heard. What's going on in Fremont? It seems like a lot of fires there.
Yeah, my friends there keep texting me every time when there's a dumpster
Yeah.
fire. They're about
Literal
to be
dumpster
for
fire.
Yeah.
It's like not a metaphorical dumpster fire. It's literally a dumpster on fire.
I just imagine you see the beam of the dumpster on fire floating down the river
Yeah.
in Alabama.
I mean, things like if you have like a lot of cardboard and wood packaging in a dumpster, then or whatever, it's gonna like if it's flammable, it's then somebody, I don't know. Sometimes I think some of these things are some kids having fun or whatever, just like being arsonists, and some of it are just I don't know how these things, like trying to figure out why is this dumpster on fire? I don't know. It's on fire clearly, but how the fire start? I don't know. Nobody knows how the fire started. Like dumpster fires are actually not that dangerous, but they're like unless it's indoors or something. But like an outdoor dumpster fire is not intrinsically dangerous.
It's contained.
Yeah.
It's contained. It's like the dumpster's not going to melt or anything.
Yeah.
So it tends to just be like it creates drama, but it's not like actually dangerous.
So currently we get to give, we've all been FSC beta. You guys, thank you, by the way. It's been fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Testing that.
Recently got kicked out, but
On long trips, really long road trips, I just made it's me.
Yeah.
It's
I
me.
was on a
really-
long drive to
got
San
kicked out.
Francisco,
On really
and unfortunately,
on really long road trips, I have this problem where I'll get the nag thing will give me enough times and I'll disable, and I did like 800 miles across Texas and I'll get tired of it. That's actually not what it's about. We currently get to give feedback for when the car does something wrong. Would it be useful if we got to give feedback when the car did something like really well and really right? Because I have to do great things all the time, but I have no way to like call somebody or mark the video and say, hey, they did this turn incredibly and
Great
it's faced
question.
well, and like, is there? I mean, like, because I'm assuming the AI is being trained with reinforcement learning as well. It'd be great if we could help give that feedback when the car's like, great job, buddy, like the +1 button or something. I don't know. All input is error.
Yeah, all input is error, exactly. Unless somebody missed the feature, in which case no input is error. Like in some cases, we've got like cool features nobody ever used or knew was there, like the Wizards in Winter Dance with the Model X doors, and it's rare to encounter a customer who actually knows about that. Most of them don't know it exists, and then we made it like too hard to to do, and it should be the opposite of an Easter egg. It should be like let's maximize the number of people who know about it, not like minimize it.
It's not going to work for Tesla. I actually shot the video.
Oh, okay, all right, great.
I tried to get it out there.
Yeah, I think like people didn't translate that to my car can also do this. Yeah, yeah, it's true. But still today, I bet probably I don't know, at least 2/3 of Model X owners have no idea the car can do that.
You're not talking about the Christmas dance, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's like such.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's so obvious to you, but you know,
Yeah.
it's like done it so many
Most people
times,
live-
my neighbors
I
ask
know.
me to move. You know,
Right.
Like it's great.
But I mean, people have never
Year-round.
seen a car do anything like that. So
No, it's radical.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you have like a favorite Easter egg or feature that you've put into the cars that, this is just your favorite?
Well, I mean, I suppose that the sort of Wizards in Winter door dance is my favorite, sort of Easter eggy feature or fun thing that has no value in and of itself,
course
except
it does.
entertainment.
Kids
Yeah, it's
get
like
to dance to it.
it's entertainment, but it's like it's not. It's like an unnecessary thing that's cool. I mean, there was the tap autopilot 4 times to play more cowbell. Yeah. And like people would get, but now that's the one that you could accidentally do, and then your screen turns to like Mario Kart, Rainbow Road.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
You can't turn the volume down. It's full on more candle. You gotta turn it down or off.
Yeah.
It does it again.
Kids can't be sleeping during that time.
Yeah. Santa
yeah,
too. Santa.
I think it's quite a few times people have accidentally, because it is a thing you could just tap too many times.
Yeah.
It's like it's not one of those Easter eggs. It's like one of those like old school arcade games where it's like up, down, left, right. Like it's like just press it 4 times and bingo. So I think a lot of people just accidentally like, what happened? Am I going crazy? Why is the car doing this?
My grandma lost it.
Yeah. So that's a cool one. You can change the car to standard 42. Car's name changed, left the universe and everything. There's the James Bond where it turns into the Spy Loved Me car, that's a submarine car basically.
Yeah. Yep.
Is there any undiscovered
Yeah.
Easter eggs?
Pressing a little bit phone, it changes to Thomas Edison. Is that my quoting that right?
Maybe actually, I'm not. There's a ha 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 if you want to change the screen to reindeer.
Ha ha ha, not funny.
Ha ha, not funny. We'll play the song "Grandma Got Run Over with a Reindeer." Grandma got run over by a reindeer is the ha ha, not funny. Yes.
Is there any undiscovered Easter eggs in production right now?
I mean, there might be. Like, they don't necessarily tell me about all the Easter eggs, But I mean, the thing is that, we can't spend too much time on Easter eggs because we should be.
Come on, that should be the entire focus.
Well, the problem is if something is rare, like what you're really trying to do is maximize the area under the curve of number of people times degree of enjoyment.
Yeah.
So, like, it's fine to have like a low effort Easter egg that is something that like a small number of people will get a lot of joy from, and then you like area under the curve of like, well, they got a lot of joy, but it's a small number of people. But what you're really looking for is something that would provide a lot of people enjoyment and maximize the area under the curve of total people times amount of average enjoyment.
Yeah.
That's what you're actually trying to do. So that's why I can't get carried away with the Easter egg stuff.
Yeah.
You really want everyone to experience it, not make it some extremely 0.01% of people actually even know it exists situation.
Yeah.
So I think we've got a lot of work to do actually with the basic software in the car. Like our web browser sucks, and we definitely need to do work on the overall interface in the car. There's a lot of complaints on the interface. I think we do better on the interface. But like if you try to use the web browser in the car, it like takes a long time to load, and that's a trash browser.
Yeah.
It's worse than like some iPad from 5 years ago, like by a lot. like the rear screen and the S and X, the controls need a lot of work. But like it can be quite helpful for like entertaining your like having like your kid now has something to watch in the back.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can put like YouTube stuff
Game
on.
changer.
It's a game. Yeah, if you play that, it's a game changer. It is a game changer. But like for example, like that's something where we could we should have separate audio for the back and what's the point of like currently we play the same audio level for that back screen in the front as in the back. Like it should just play the back should play that audio, or it should like route to a Bluetooth that's keyed off of the rear screen, and then you give them headphones or something.
Yep.
So that people can listen to music in the front and not get blasted by the YouTube Kids Show audio in the front, which is currently the situation.
That's correct.
So there's like a bunch of stuff like that we need to fix. But the overwhelming focus is solving full self-driving. So, yeah, and that's essential. And like that's really the difference between Tesla being worth a lot of money and being worth basically zero.
Yep.
So,
one question I was going to ask with the little maybe remaining time is there any additional questions or FUD or misinformation about Tesla, or I don't know, maybe you want to walk around the factory or whatever you have time for? It's kind of quiet, so but whatever you have time for, we're game for.
Well, I mean, is there anything we should go over that would be helpful? I mean, I think some of these things are like just like the whole founder thing is like it's like I think fundamentally like even a sort of like kind of a stupid question, because what does it mean to found something? You know, there's some critical mass of inspiration and perspiration, but it's a nebulous number, or it's a nebulous metric to say, you know, this person deserves to be a co-founder, this one doesn't. It's nebulous. But I think if you could apply the but for question, like but for this person, would the company exist, or would it have gone bankrupt or not exist in a form that it is currently, or in a much diminished form, or simply not exist at all? And the only two people that you could apply the but for argument to are J.B. Straubel and me. But for J.B. Straubel and me, Tesla would I think never have existed in any meaningful way, and if it had, it would have gone bankrupt. So those are the only two people that the but for argument applies.
Maybe you want to go into this here or not. You mentioned, I think, on Twitter very recently about the cold shoulder Tesla and SpaceX and stuff has experienced and the broader, you know, economic and political climate. Do you want to share more about how that's been affecting things?
Take this question. I gotta go.
How you see that changing as, you know, Tesla expands in the Great Lone Star State?
Sure. So, I mean, those that follow closely are aware of it. I think you probably are aware of it. So, somewhat of a rhetorical question, I suspect. But I think the general public is not aware of the degree to which the unions control the Democratic Party. This is one does not need to speculate on this point. Last year, President Biden held an EV summit where Tesla was explicitly not allowed to come, but the UAW was.